Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Amazeen. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Mass Comm, Advertising and Public Relations in the College of Communication. Today, I'll be talking about how digital news organizations contribute to the science denialism legacy perfected by the US tobacco industry. Next slide. Last spring, there was content that appeared in leading US news outlets, including the Washington Post, as shown here, which purported how misinformation is stifling tobacco harm reduction efforts. However, these were not news articles that they appeared to be. These were paid ads from Philip Morris International, the tobacco company, which was camouflaged to look like content from the news organizations. This is what is referred to as native advertising and is what I'm going to be focusing on today. So these ads that look like real news are labeled as ads, as required by the FTC. You can see in the upper left-hand corner of this image that it does state content from Philip Morris International. But research studies, my own and from others, have repeatedly shown that these labels are largely ineffective. Anywhere between 75 and 90% of readers are unable to distinguish whether this type of content is news or advertising. Although there's always been tension between advertising and journalism in newsrooms, what's different today is that these types of ads are now being generated by publishers' in-house content studios on behalf of corporate and special interest groups, sometimes even with the help of journalists. In this example here, the seeming news article complains about the, quote, disinformation campaigns that muddy the truth, unquote, regarding the benefits of vaping products. The irony is that it was the tobacco industry itself, which for decades so effectively manufactured scientific uncertainty about the harms of its products. Doubt is our product, if you remember. They are now using a practice seeped in deception to try and create certainty about the benefits of their products. Next slide, please. In addition to the concern that most people either don't see or understand what the disclosures mean, my research has shown that more than half the time, the disclosures disappear when the content leaves a publisher's website and is shared on Facebook, or in this example, Twitter. For example, I recently shared that Philip Morris International native ad that appeared in Reuters. I shared it on Twitter, as you can see here, and the disclosure disappeared, which is a violation of the FTC's labeling mandate. It looks like I'm sharing an article from Reuters. Given that many social media users don't read articles before sharing them, people may be amplifying commercial content that they thought was genuine news. Next slide, please. Beyond deceiving audiences is a concern with how native advertising corresponds to journalistic independence. There's a long history of anecdotal evidence suggesting that reporters are reluctant to write about advertisers that are lucrative to their news outlet. My most recent research confirms these suspicions. We used computational analyses to track 5 years of native advertising across the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Post. And the data show that for 16 of the 27 corporations that we studied, over half, native advertising corresponded to less ensuing news coverage on that corporate sponsor. In this example on the right, I shared a native ad on LinkedIn that was from Wells Fargo that ran in the Washington Post. In it, they're touting their investments in a cleaner environmental future, but failed to mention they were financing the controversial underground oil transport system, the Dakota Access Pipeline, something a real news article would have mentioned. So this is how an alternate public agenda, potentially rife with disinformation, goes unchallenged. News reporting is suppressed out of concern over critically reporting on a sponsor. Next slide. What can we do? At a time when trust in media continues to decline, we need greater transparency between news and advertising by standardizing disclosure language, embedding digital watermarks in commercial content so that when you share it, it's still disclosed, and having publishers offer searchable databases of who their advertisers are. Secondly, we need to enforce penalties against violators. And lastly, we need to continue media literacy education so that people can be more critical of the content they consume, even if it's from their preferred legacy news organizations. Thank you, and I look forward to talking more.